What's going on, everyone? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today, we're back with another CrewCast podcast, and Shadow and I are buckled in and ready to go. But we also got another guest with us. That is D1 of Aqua Vibe. This is his second appearance on the CrewCast podcast. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. I'm great. I don't know about Shadow. He's probably daydreaming. I don't know.
Hi. Sorry. Hi. I'm here. I was already introduced. What do you want me to say?
Well, he said, "How are y'all doing?" I mean, I'm not speaking for you. You might be horrible. I don't even know. So, anyways, today we got a list of topics that you guys out there on Twitter land wanted us to answer, and this might go. We might answer one and might go on a tangent to something else, but we're gonna tackle at least the first one. And I thought this was a good question. We've touched on something similar to this, but not exactly this. And I know I haven't given my opinion and my outlook on it. But the first one says, what was our original career paths and early ambitions in life, passions other than gaming? Like, what did we want to do coming out of school? What was a job that you were like, oh, my God, that's what I want to do with my life? And then it just didn't happen. D1, I'll let you go first. You're the guest. I'll let you talk.
Music.
Music from day one. Like, were you in music in high school? What was like? Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, I mean, I was into music from way back. Funny is, my high school didn't actually have music classes, and then the only time I actually took a music class was in college. I've said this before on stream. I took one music class and got like a C-.
Really?
Yeah.
You got a C in music.
C- in music.
And
yeah.
how did that not deter you from ever doing music again?
Well, no. What happened was I was already so the thing was I was already a musician at that point. I basically did everything by ear. So in the class, it's the opposite. It's all music theory and all the technical stuff and what. So I was always going by stuff and like, yeah, just very loose about it or whatever. Just kind of going in a different path. So when I went to the class, it was super technical, and it kind of almost seemed completely disconnected from what I had been doing for years. It's just such a technical sort of, very structured technical stuff. And it's like, yeah, it totally related to what I was doing, but it was such a strange disconnect from what I was doing that I just did not relate to it too well. And I had a bad attention span, and I just like didn't study it well. It's almost like going to like a math class to me. And I was just like, it was just a lot of numbers and different formulas and whatnot, it seemed like to me. So even though those are basically describing what I've been doing for a few years, it was just basically like a technical structured description of everything I was doing, but it just felt odd. It was just like from a different angle where I didn't really relate to it. So that's why I didn't do it. But I mean, I was already a musician.
I got you. What did you?
I can kind of speak to that.
Go ahead.
With the whole music in school being like really technical and all that, like that's. I know for me that's what prevented me from actually pursuing music in high school. Like I thought that's kind of what it was. Then like it didn't really seem that accessible. It seemed just kind of rigid, and I'm just like, I mean, I'd say in streams all the time, like I've always had at least an interest in music. Like if I would go over to somebody's house and they'd be rich as hell and they'd have a piano or something, or if, like they had a guitar, like I would always just gravitate to it.
Same.
And start just, even though I didn't understand like chords or anything like that, just I loved making melodies and doing that. But I never pursued it because I just thought like it was all kind of like pressy and lame and just like, okay, no, you're gonna sit up straight while you play your clarinet, and just like, yeah, school music classes in school kind of ruin it.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, I just wanted, just like you were saying, you want to do it, but it's just like I wanted to kind of do it on my own terms. Like, I'm lucky because I have a real good ear.
I don't.
Did y'all play instruments?
Well, yeah, like I started on, like I had one of those little dinky Casio keyboards, them all, and I would figure stuff out, pretty darn quick. I'd hear a melody and I, fumble around and I play it out. And there'd be people, you have the naysayers. No, you have to learn properly. I just got that. I just heard that from from somebody at the subway right near my house. No, seriously, about a week ago. Someone asked me, do I know anybody who gives music lessons? And I said, well, I don't know too much locally, but I'm a musician, but I don't give lessons because I don't know all of the super technical, fundamental music theory stuff. I mean, I basically use this stuff all the time, but I don't know
the terms and
the
way to teach it. Yeah, the step-by-step process. Yeah,
exactly. So I say I shied away from it. He's like, oh no, yeah, you have to learn. Like, that's funny. I have to learn. I've had my music's been on TV and in movies, on the internet, commercials, but I have to learn.
You have to. It's a must.
Okay.
Keep
Shadow,
that in mind.
Did you play anything, Shadow?
No. Like,
You embarrassed?
it's
The
no,
flute?
it's not embarrassing. I don't want to say that I played it. Like
Okay, what did you attempt to play?
No, in second grade we had like a little in my school, when you started second grade, you could pick an instrument to learn and take, band classes and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play the drums for obvious reasons, because drums are cool when you're a second grader and you just want to bang on them. But my mom was like, yeah, no, you're not playing the drums. Hell no, I'm not listening to that. You're picking something else. And so I'm like, fine. And then I saw everybody else was picking the more common instruments, the trumpet and shit like that. And so I wanted to pick an instrument that was different.
Yeah. So
I picked the baritone horn, which I had never heard of before, and a lot of people apparently have never heard of it.
It's a really deep one, isn't it?
I went to 2 band classes and thought it was lame because it was just that, kind of okay, well, this is the correct technique and you got to do this,
Right.
this, which I mean, I understand to a degree, but I didn't, the teacher kind of had a stick up his ass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this music shit, maybe not for me.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I was 20 that I kind of realized, wait a minute, I can just download a program onto my computer and just do whatever the hell I want and see what happens.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm going to start up a YouTube channel and see where this goes.
How did something like that get started, D1? How did you get into the digital side of making things? I know if you do everything by ear and you kind of teach yourself self-taught.
Yeah.
I've come to your streams and I popped in and you're over there and someone will say a song and you'll look it up, you'll start playing it, and you'll just pick it up. And you can you'll digitally do something with it or do something with some sounds. And how did that all come about?
It's funny because so I was just an instrument, and I was in a band. Long story short, I came into the digital stuff because my band was recording some songs at a studio, and the guy who was recording us was using the computer, and I'm over his shoulder. I'm like, oh my God, this is so intimidating. I have no idea. I just like to play instruments, but this stuff, I was totally intrigued by it thoroughly, but so completely intimidated. I was just it was giving me a headache looking at it, in the sense that I had no idea what was going on. And I think a lot of people who come to my stream, probably Shadows too, at the same thing, they'll have that same opinion of, oh my, I don't even know what's going on. How do you know what all those button things do? It's just like anything else. But so I was watching this guy do it, and he was slowly showing me stuff. I was like, huh, okay. And then it started with that, and then me and him actually became friends, and then he wound up giving me a copy of the program. I worked with it then and just slowly got into it, and then a little bit at a time. Over time, you just get used to it. Like I said, just kind of faced fear of dealing with that super technical thing. I was talking earlier about the music theory and music classes stuff is technical. This was a similar thing. But this one, I actually was able to face and get past, and then it's been like a huge tool for me. As I do, all the time stuff. But that's it. Yeah, that's how I kind of rolled into it.
I like it. I was gonna go into mine, which was very boring. Yeah, I mean, I'm no musician. Like, I can't even say it right. Musician. I can't even say it right. Anyways, I didn't go into music like you guys did. Like, when I took the first test in junior high that I can remember, no, it was maybe middle school. Middle school, they had a test. If you took this test about music knowledge, like you were saying you hated, then if you scored high on the test, you could be in percussion. And I said, I'm going percussion or nothing. Because everybody want to be percussion. Everybody want to play the drums, right?
Exactly.
And so if you scored low, you got trumpet. And I scored.
That sounds backwards to me.
Yeah, oh, no. No one wants to be trumpet. Because it was simple. It's 3, beep, beep, boo, beep, beep, boo, beep, beep, boo. I mean, so everybody was like, fuck the trumpet. Let's go in and let's jump in with percussion. Because we're a bunch of rowdy boys. We just want to beat on stuff, right? Because we thought we were, M&Ms, in the background, a bunch of white kids jumping around, acting like they're hardcore. But anyways, that's what we all wanted to do. I scored very low on it. I got trumpet. I said, no, I'm not doing it. Because then I take this paper home, and it tells you how much these things cost because you had to rent one or buy one. And my mom was like, no, you're not getting in a band. How about I buy you some soccer cleats that cost, $20 and you go out there and play soccer for free? Right. How about that? So that's kind of where my music ended. And when I was growing up, I was in college, probably not college. I was in high school, and about my junior year, we started having these counselors come around. I haven't talked to my counselors ever. Like, I didn't get in trouble. I didn't have depression or anything crazy going on in my life. No one was trying to beat me up or anything like that. So I never knew my counselors. So I talked to this woman for the first time, and she lays this piece of paper in front of me, and she goes like, what's your interest? So she wanted me to get my top 3, and then beside them, it told you how much you get paid per year. And the highest one on that piece of paper was computer programming. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to be a computer programmer. I'm going to make $120,000 plus year. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm going into that. So I go, and I keep that in my brain. I go junior, I get a junior, I go to be a senior, and then I jump into college. First day into college, I look at my coursework. There are 19,000 math classes. I'm like, oh, hell no. I suck at math. I'm the worst. Like, in high school, I took algebra 1, 2, and 3. Like, I didn't go to, calculus? Nope. Trig? Nope. Never took it. Never took trig. Never took calculus in my life. I went algebra 1, 2, and 3, they were just continuations of each other, and it was very easy for me because it was just like it's just one step up kind of thing. All they did was like increase the workload, and it was great. I didn't have to worry about math because that was my weakest point because I did not care in math because it's a building process. If you suck day 1, you're going to suck day 10 because you didn't figure out what was going on 1. It bored me, so 1 and 2, I was drawing and doodling on my desk. I wasn't a problem child, but that was not something that I wanted to do. So I skipped day 3. I'm like, okay, I got to focus. I'm like you, D1. I was like all over the place. I was ADD, and I was like, okay, so I'm a focus, and then I have no clue what's going on. I'm like, okay, well, screw that. The most I got through with math is because I was smarter than my teacher. We had those graphing calculators, and I programmed my graphing calculator to have different programs to help me answer questions, and I would save answers in hidden folders inside my graphing calculator so I would outsmart my teacher, basically. I had like Mario on that thing. I had all kinds of games on it. So when it looked like I was doing calculations, I was playing Mario. So basically that's what I did with math. I freaking hated math. But my first thing I wanted to do was computer programming because of the money. I didn't know there was that many math classes, and it wasn't that fun. Like, I took intro to computer, and it was like very like, here's how to do Word, here's how to do this, and I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. I don't need this. This is easy. So, anyways, I'll tell you my next one I went into, and you're gonna laugh at that one. That was not what I finished with, but I'll tell you, it was nursing. I went into nursing. I was like, I'm gonna be a guy nurse. They need guy nurses, right? They need guy nurses, and there's gonna be all girls in my class. Like, the college I went to was like 70% females anyways. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in classes with girls all day. There's not going to be one guy in there. I'm going to be picking up chicks all day. But no, it wasn't. It was horrible. I stepped into the dean or the head of the department, and she basically said, she just gave me one of those hard, stern, if you're going to stay in here, this is the way it's going to be, but I don't really want you in here. She wanted to test and see if I really wanted to do it, and I really didn't want to do it. Like, that wasn't something I really had my heart set to. I had other alternative motives.
All right, you caught me.
You caught me. That's how I was like, okay, screw this. So my first two in my freshman year in college, mistakes. And one other thing I wanted to go to nursing for was the money. I was like, I want to be set. I want to be good. And nursing had a lot of money. But I didn't realize nursing, you're there all the time. And you're not doing fun stuff. You're not handing stuff to a doctor and high-fiving doctors as they say patients. No, you're cleaning shit and pee out of pans for days on days on days, and it's sad because you see people dying, you get cancer. I mean, that's stuff that I don't want to be around 24/7. Depression-type situations, that's not me. I couldn't do it. So, anyways, I bounced out of that stuff real quick, but that was my first one. But anyways, I know you wanted to be a
percussionist.
Yeah, I want to be a percussion, man. That was me. I mean, I can't keep a beat. I am tone deaf. I can't sing worth the shit. I sing all the time. I love singing, but I can't do it.
But no one else loves you singing?
Oh, no. Shadow hates it. Joel hates it because I get the wrong lyrics all the time.
I feel like you do it on purpose.
I do have it on purpose. Some of it I really don't know. I just can't. I'll wing it. And
I've made you sound pretty good, though.
Oh, yeah. You are the closest thing I have to singing. Like, okay, by the way, guys, if you haven't seen the video, it's when we did the rap battle stuff, basically the diss track. I rapped to that, and I remember the original that I sent D1, and I was like, please, just do something with this because it's so bad. He made it look like I was halfway decent. Now, it's really bad because I'm tone deaf and I can't carry a cadence to save my life. But D1 can take my giggle or my laugh or something I said, and he can make it into a whole song, and I sound tremendously better because he has to really work on it. I mean, with Speedy, he might have to adjust a little bit, and then G a little bit. With me, he spends 3 to 4 hours on just a ha-ha with me. So, yeah. I don't know. You make me sound great, D1, and I appreciate it.
I could tell you something ironic though.
Go ahead.
Like versus what you just said.
Yeah.
Of all the crew members, like for some reason you have always been pretty much the easiest one for me to remix.
I think is because I speak loud, and then when people start speaking, I speak louder than them on purpose to drown them out because what I have to say is way more important than them. So when I start to talk, people shut up. Like Shadow will not speak over me because he doesn't want to fight it. And D20 doesn't want to fight it. G does not want to fight it. Side will interrupt me, and that pisses me off. And so I get louder than him. But a lot of times when I talk, people just shut the hell up. And so I think that's the thing because I have clear sentences usually when we play because I'm selfish and I like me talking, if you can't tell already.
There is that element, but there's also the other element. What's funny is you're saying, so when you try, you were just saying, oh, I have trouble carrying a tune or keeping a cadence or whatever. But what's funny is your voice, when you're like messing around with games and stuff, you actually have like this natural occurring cadences to your voice.
Stop, D1. You're making my head big. Come on.
No, this isn't even a compliment.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying there's a thing with your voice, and probably volume does have to do with it.
I was supposed to be in music. Yeah, that's really what it was. I was supposed to be in music all the way, for sure.
Percussion.
Yeah, percussion. No, but I don't know how you do that, man, because I think I'm the most tone deaf piece of crap sound. I hate the sound of my voice. I think a lot of people do. We talked about this before. But I think some of the stuff that you put in there is great, dude. I don't know how you do it, but I love every single time. I don't know why you're still remixing us at times, right. But I appreciate it more than you know, like on all that stuff. So I do appreciate it. I'll go into a random stream, and I'm just want to hear what you're working on, and you'll be working on something that's to do with the crew or someone close like a Legion or any of those guys. And so I'm very thankful for your continued support, and I don't know, I enjoy your streams and everything you do with all that stuff. But anyways, all right, we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna go to the second question because I want to get to a couple more questions, even though that was a great one. The next one was, this is kind of not a boring one, but I think I would like to hear some like childhood stories from you guys a little bit on this, and kind of get a little background on how you grew up and kind of what you did. I'll start with mine, but the question was basically, what was your favorite vacation growing up, and what is some of the memories you remember from that vacation? And I remember when I was younger, we never went on vacations much. I mean, when we went to vacation, it was like an hour away, and we always had like a big group of people, and it was pretty much cheap stuff, going to the lake and things like that. Making the best out of anything was basically what we did. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. I would say we're lower middle class. And when we went to Florida, it was a big deal. So I went to Florida probably twice in my childhood. And I remember when I was 11 years old, we went to Florida. Went to Pensacola, Florida. If you've ever been there, it's on the border of like Florida and Alabama. And it's the first time I ever went to Florida, and it's on the Panhandle. Well, not the Panhandle. It's like the little bitty slither part on the left side. But when you first go in, it's like one of the first cities. So when you go in, we were in Florida, but really we were in like the deep part of Florida. Like, I don't think I've ever been to like Miami or anything, but we go into Florida, and we stop on this side of the road and go on the beach, and we stay in some like really crappy hotel at the time. But I think this is like the biggest vacation in the world. But I remember we brought my cousin, and he's 6 years older than me, and we brought a couple other family members, and I don't remember who all was there with that. But I remember as we stopped on the first stop, and I remember I had goggles and a snorkel, and I didn't know how to work a snorkel. I just got salt water inside the snorkel, and I would take in some salt water, and I just threw that thing up on the bank. But I had my goggles. Well, my cousin had already jumped in, and he was swimming around, and he found these crabs. They had a weird, big, ugly shell. It wasn't like the stuff you see in the Bahamas, like crabs just whatever, or it's not the crab that you eat. It's just ugly crabs. They hid up in their shells. They're huge shells. They look almost like oyster shells almost on the back of them. I don't even know what kind of crabs they were, but they were just horrible. They look like a hermit crab, but like 50 times bigger. Anyways, he was picking these things up and putting them out on the beach and trying to scare me with them, right? And so after playing with them for a couple of minutes, I decided I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to get a couple myself. And so I go in, I grab a couple, and I come out, and I'm so excited. And I tell my dad, I'm keeping them. These are going to be my pets. I'm going to keep these things. And so he's like, he fights me the whole time. No, these are saltwater creatures. You can't just keep them in, regular water. And I keep fighting him over it, and he's like, screw it. You have one of those like sandcastle molds, and I throw a couple in there, and we go to the hotel, and they have one of those really, dinky pools or whatever. And the first thing I do, I run straight to the pool, and I dump them in the pool. And, there's chlorine. Well, it's not salt water. Those things shrivel up and they sink down to the bottom, and they don't move. And I'm like, Dad, what's wrong with these crabs? They're not moving, because they were very lively. And he's like, you just killed them. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I tried to warn you. You didn't listen. And I cried for a good 30 minutes because I killed my pet crabs. So to shut me up, by the end, they bought me a hermit crab, and we took it home. And we had dogs and cats and stuff, but I was more proud of that hermit crab. And they still have it. I've seen it when I went to Florida, where you can buy these shells. The hermit crabs can go in, and they'll be like Wonder Woman shell, the American flag. I mean, they got anything you want, peace signs, whatever. So I bought these shells to put in there, and they would transfer shells as they got older. But mine already had one that was colorful. It was like green or something, whatever. So I had a couple of those crabs. We took them home. I was proud of them. They were forever. Forever, I remember this. They had you had to wet this sponge, put the sponge in there, and then you had to feed them these little pellets or whatever. And after about 6 months, my mom got really tired of them, and so she wanted to put them outside and just kill them. And so she put them off the back porch, and I went in there, and I was like, what happened? And she said, they died, sweetheart. I'm sorry. They died. And I was like, oh, no. And like, I was so pissed. I was like, what the hell? And so I go out to dump out their stuff, and the crabs are on in my grass just scooting along. I'm like, they didn't die. They didn't die. And so I bring them back in the house, and my mom was like, what the hell? She didn't tell me until like, I don't know, 10 years ago that she really just tried to kill them and that they didn't escape. She was like, oh, I guess they escaped. And so basically that's my Florida trip. I will never forget it because I killed crabs and I got crabs, and then I lost crabs, but I got crabs back. And
you got crabs.
Yeah, I got crabs. But what about you guys? What's your favorite vacation? What do you remember from it?
Good.
Look, man, I hate when you ask these questions because I have lived the most uneventful life out of anybody you've ever talked to, and like I'm completely cool with that. Just say like I don't want to do things. I just want to chill. Like,
I'm the same way now. Yeah.
The only thing that comes to mind is we used to just about every year would go to Jersey, I think it was. Jersey, like, Jersey Beach or whatever, but not like one of the more popular ones. It was like one where there was like not a lot of people or whatever.
Yeah. Very
chill. And like the only thing that I remember one year is my mom getting mad at my brother and I because she wanted to go to the beach, but he and I just kind of wanted to stay in the hotel room and watch cartoons because they had cable and we didn't have cable back at home. So
nice.
He was like, can we wait until this show ends? She's like, no, it's already 11. Yeah, there's so much of the day. Like, what the hell? We only do this one. I'm like, And so that's my only real vacation story. It only happened once. I mean,
watching
the other
baby.
The other 5 times that we went, like, it was relatively uneventful, but that's just something that kind of sticks out.
Yeah.
I've lived a boring life. Don't ask me about my past because I don't got anything to share.
Mine was it was funny, D4, when you were mentioning your very same thing. We didn't have, so we didn't really go on quote unquote real.
Hey, get a little bit closer to your mic, D1. You're cutting in and out a little bit, buddy. Just because.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's just when you stop a little bit, it kind of cuts. But you're good. But keep going.
Okay. So I was saying, mine was like very similar to yours as far as us going on like these vacations that were very low budget. Basically, go to a Holiday Inn that was about 40 minutes away, just to basically go in the pool and stuff.
Right.
So that was about it. Did that. Went to Florida once to Disney World, and that was the one real vacation that we had. That was like a big deal, and did that, and yeah, that was great. Bunch of fun. I don't remember too much. I mean, I was a kid, but the one thing I remember is they have that thing at like they had a thing where like at night they would have this like light parade or something like that go through like, and I was my dad was like really like, I didn't know, I was a stupid dumb but he was going through so much crap at work, super stressful, so that by the time we went on this vacation, he was basically like a tight fist the whole time, just so, just still consumed, work right with him and stuff. So I'm all happy, this and that. Oh, Disney World. There's that light parade. So we're watching it. And I guess I was just so involved with watching it that I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm kind of, without realizing it, kind of like walking along with the parade. And they lost me. And I didn't even realize it.
Oh no!
So yeah, so I'm just like, I'm like, this is so cool. And then I'm like, oh, where'd they go? So I go looking for them, and it took me like a few minutes to find them. It was probably maybe a total of 15, 20 minutes. And by the time I finally found them, I was so excited. I was like, wow, I was watching. Did you see? And I was starting to say that, and I got smacked. My dad was so pissed. Ollie was just like, if you picture it, it's like a kid, parent loses their kid, finally gets them back. What's wrong with you? So I was so excited. He was so pissed. And so it was funny though. It's so I remember like going from super excited to like, licking my wounds pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, that was like the one big vacation we had. Outside of that, like I was saying, it was just anytime we would go, it would be like really budget vacations that were basically within about a half hour from our house or so.
I like it.
Real excited.
Yeah, growing up, with middle class, like lower income families, it's crazy what you kind of went through or the things you thought. I was always like a happy kid. Like I always thought that I didn't think we ever like had a lot of money. But when I saw like my dad would have like $100 bill, I'd be like, we're rich. My dad's got $100. Like, fuck off everybody else. We got money, all right? Look, my dad's got $100 bill. And I remember this. We went somewhere, and I cried because I wanted something. And my dad said, if you shut up right now, I'll give you $100. And I go, really? I just, what? And so I was crying about something, being a little bitch, whatever, and then I stopped crying, and then we got in the truck. He gave me $100, but I fell for this trick, and I didn't realize this till like 2 years ago. And he said, "Hey, let me hold that $100 for you, and when we get home, I'll give it back to you." So he held on to the $100. I totally forgot about it, being dumbass. And he kept it. And I just like, what happened to that $100? He kept it. He held on to it he still has it. So my dad owes me $100. Long story short. But I just remember all the little things in life. Like we would go to Walmart and my mom would say, here's $5. You can pick out a toy, but it can't be over $5. So she'd literally give me a $5 bill. And I would always go get Legos. That was my thing. I would always go get Legos. It would be like one police car, Legos, and then go home, assemble it, get bored, throw it in the trash or throw it in the pile, and then I'd be good. But she knew if I'd shut the hell up if she just gave me $5, and I could go get Legos, whatever else. But there was always those Lego boxes that cost like $200 for the whole set. I never wanted those. Because I knew we were only balling on a budget for $5, and so I just get the cars. So I had like 50 cars that were Lego, but I didn't have the big set, like the Star Wars set or the whatever set. And if you've ever been to the toy aisle as of late, those things are super high. If you want a car and like a little couple figurines to go with it, you're looking at a good $45. I mean, it's ridiculous how much Legos cost now. The Lego brand is ridiculous. And they rope kids in they have Minecraft, they have all kinds of stuff now that they just rope kids in within. So if you want a Creeper Steve or a Creeper whoever, then you're going to have to pay out the butt for it. But anyway.
I was just thinking of something. I don't know if this is going to derail but when you were talking about your dad taking your $100 bill, let me just hold on to that for you. That made me think of something. Do you guys, I know I do. Do you guys have things that were told to you as a kid by either older kids or adults that was total BS and you didn't realize till years later it was?
Things come to my mind is like Santa Claus and stuff. My cousin kind of ruined that, and then I still didn't believe him.
Okay.
And then stuff like if you lie, you'll get black spots in the back of your mouth, and I remember that when I was young. Right. And I couldn't see him without getting in a mirror. I didn't have access to a mirror or could see over the counter. And so I always thought if I lied, so I never lied to my parents. That was like a big thing for me. I never lied to my parents. Like if they said like, how do I don't know. Mom says, hey, how'd I look in this dress? It's like, you look fat. I'd like tell her.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever. So
nice.
That's just an example. That's example. But I was scared of the black spots in my mouth. So what about you guys? Was there anything else for you guys?
I had the one that just came to mind, and this is not a widespread thing. This might have just been between my family and the family next door, because they had kids too. I don't know. We were on. I don't know what the exact time it started. We were probably all eating lunch. We were eating sandwiches, and they started this thing that I didn't know until years later. I seriously, it was one of those things that you just believed until years later. Someone's like, "What are you talking? Are you stupid?"
Yeah.
And what the thing was, they said when we would eat sandwiches, we wound up, especially like me, I didn't eat the crust. It was just like, that's bland. Like I just want to eat the middle part of it.
Yeah.
There was this dumb thing they said, if this is so stupid. If you eat the crust, it helps you whistle better.
That is
What?
definitely just a you thing.
That's
Yep.
I've never heard that in my life. I've never heard that from anybody.
Exactly. Like I said, it was basically just like maybe between 2 or 3 families here. And it was just a stupid thing to get us to finish the whole sandwich because you're supposed to eat your whole sandwich. And it's one of those it's one of those things that as a kid you're told and you just accept, and then you don't really think about till like years later. And like I
can't whistle. Maybe they eat my crust, man.
And then I told somebody, like I think it was my sister, and I'm like, "You remember when they said that?" And she's like, "No, what the hell are you talking about?" and that's when it hit me. I was already like, what? In my 20s or something like that. I was like, it hit me that I was that stupid that it was just one of the, I'm like, of course, what the hell? How? Yeah, wait, how would that even work? And then it hits me, but it's just one of those things that just accept as a kid and just kind of stays in the back of your head. And then, yeah.
I can just see you like at lunch, like eating your crust. You're like looking around the room like I'm a badass. I can whistle like a mother.
Yeah. No, but what's funny is you're totally right. This is how dumb, like, and impressionable kids are.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be eating our sandwich after they told us that we'd be eating our sandwiches, and then I'd purposely finish the crust and try to see. Yeah, I can feel it. It's a little better. I can feel it. No, seriously, and that's as dumb as that's really what happened. So it was so dumb. But that I've had a few of those, but that like where they tell you something and you just accept, and then like years later you go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No. And then that's when that was one. I know there's 2 or 3 other ones that just aren't coming to me this moment.
That this is just me though. I don't think anybody told me this. I used to think if you ate the watermelon seeds or swallowed them, that a watermelon would grow in your belly, and that's how people got fat. Like,
oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like the watermelon shape. Yeah, that's how people got fat. So I never ate watermelon seeds. I thought that was like against the law. Yeah.
I speaking of that, I had a similar one. Same thing. It was no one told it to me is what I thought. This is so stupid. This was when I first learned about quote unquote birds and the bees.
Yeah, yeah.
And all I knew is that like insertion like creates a baby, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know about movement or bodily fluids. I knew nothing about that stuff. I just thought you put it in and you take it out and there'll be a baby in a little. So I thought to myself, geez, I'm sitting there thinking, what if like a man and a woman do that and they fall asleep and wake up the next day and they're still, and I'm thinking, will they have like 100 kids? Like what happens?
That's how twins are called. You do it twice, 2 pump, 2 pump jump.
I really thought that if you fell asleep in that position and woke up the next day, you'd wind up in a few months with like 100 kids. I had no idea.
Speaking of that, D1, I remember being young, and I think the movie was a Chucky movie, and I don't know for sure, so I'm not gonna like quote it, but I remember it was like old school horror. But my grandparents and my parents, I remember this, they were watching it, and I was supposed to be in bed, right? My bedtime was like 8:30, whatever. But I was in sleep, so I was having a hard time sleeping. So I come out of my room, and they're watching a scary movie. But on the TV, they're having sex, and the girl's screaming. But she's like, enjoying it. But I hear her and see her, and I go, "Is she okay? What's wrong with her? Is she all right?" And my mom's like, "She's just getting attacked. She's gonna be okay," or whatever. And she just like shoos me away. And I remember that so vividly. So vividly. And then I didn't hit me until I was like in my teens. I was like, oh, they were having sex. She was enjoying that. She wasn't being raped. She was enjoying it. So I thought that girls just thought that it was a bad time. I don't know. You're naked and you're having a bad time when the guy's on top of you. you know.
I had the same thing. I used to from a kid. I was a kid. Based on the noises, I thought, why do they do it if it's so like
It hurts so much, yeah.
Yeah, if it's so unpleasant. they're and I used to think they were like crying. I'm like, why do they do it if they crying?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, she's crying. What's wrong with her?
Yeah, why? That's not good. Yeah, I couldn't fathom. I was just like, I don't know, why would they do it if they're crying? They're so sad.
Shadow, you got any that you just fell for, dude? There has to be something you fell for when you were younger.
I mean, apart from like the standard, like if you cross your eyes too much, they'll stay that way.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
like
I had that.
No, I mean, my mom, my mom or my dad, like they never really bullshit me or something. I mean, there was one time, and I think I brought this up a couple of days ago in Discord. I don't know if you were there, D4, but there was one time that my mom tried to like pull the wool over my eyes. She wanted me to eat peas, and me being an intelligent human being knows that peas are absolutely disgusting, and I do not want to put that in my body. And so but I liked broccoli. And so she's like, these aren't peas, eat them. It's baby broccoli. I'm like,
baby broccoli.
These are peas. You're like, no, it's baby broccoli. It's different. Try it. You'll like it. I tried it. I'm like, Mom, these taste like peas. And then
yes, they are. Haha.
And I didn't eat them. I think like she gave up after like I took first bite, and she's like, my son is just so damn smart and handsome. I can't fool this man.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Santa, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, like the standard stuff that we're all just kind of taught as a kid.
I was hardcore into Santa, man. Like I believed Santa for so long. Like Tooth Fairy, I was like, no, it's too crazy. Like y'all are tricking me on the Tooth Fairy, but Santa's real. Like you can't fuck around with me on that one. I saw him at the mall, so you can't. You can't fuck with me on that one. I got it. Like Santa's coming to my house. I told him what I want, and I get it every time. Like this ain't happening. So, yeah. I even like my parents. I believe broad stuff. Like they would be a bike, unwrapped underneath the tree, and I would be like, "Who brought me that?" They're like, "Oh, we got it for you." And then everything that was wrapped was from Santa or something, and like. I don't know. It was like broad stuff I would always believe. I never questioned my parents that much. If I said like, there's like, a car crash and there's people like dead on the side, and like, they'd be like, they're just sleeping. I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I fucking believe stuff all the time. My parents said it wasn't ever anything that I don't know. I just always believed it.
Yeah, I was quite skeptical of a lot of
everybody. Stuff. Yeah, I just didn't. My parents were just always the best.
One thing to build off the Santa thing, and I don't know if your parents did this too, but like not all of my Christmas presents would be from Santa. Like they would kind of be themed. Mm-hmm. Like I remember one year I got a Giants calendar, and instead of it being from Santa, it would be from Kerry Collins because that was their quarterback at the time. Like, oh my
god! Good old Kerry Collins, bro.
Kerry Collins gave me a calendar, and like
he knew you.
It'd be still, yeah, man. And I thought that was just like, I'm like, hell yeah.
It'd be funny if you still believe that and you saw him like at an event, Shadow, and you're like, Kerry, thanks for that calendar,
hey, man.
Bro.
Thanks for that calendar.
That calendar was clutch.
You're like, I still go by it. It's like 14 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Classic stuff.
Good old Kerry Collins giving Shadow a calendar, man. I tell you what.
Oh, man. Taking time out of his busy schedule
to send you a calendar. That's what kind of presents you got, were calendars. That's not good.
Hey, dude, I got a calendar every year and it was lit. I loved it.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I loved just having. I mean, because that was around the time, like 10 years old. That's when I first started getting into football.
Yeah,
and I was just like I had a team that like I was rooting for, and it was just like kind of like my annoying phase, and just like, hey, I'm proud of being a Giants fan. Like I'm gonna wear a Giants jersey to school like every day. Look at me, I like the Giants, and it was just so like I couldn't get enough New York Giants shit. It was great. So like having
so it was like a Giants calendar.
Yeah,
it was okay.
They would, yeah, and so like every month would be a different picture of like New York Giants in swimsuits or something like that.
Is that your like one of your most memorable Christmas gifts, Shadow? Was the calendar?
I mean, I guess so, since I remember it, and I don't really remember much else. Most of we covered Christmas presents, I think, before.
No, I think we have to.
I said the same thing, but most of the expensive presents that we get were like to be shared between my brother and I.
Oh, I got you. That's cool. Okay. Like if it was like let's just say
like
Nintendo.
If it was a PS2 or something,
have both. That's cool.
We get games, but like those were the good Christmas memories that I always have. Like just the first hour after like you open your presents and like everything's cool, and then like you can kind of play with them, and then you're forced out of the house to go hang with family that you don't want to see all day, and you're like, I just want to go home and play out my new stuff, and it's awful.
Well, my parents did this too, where my grandparents are pretty well off. They were my rich grandparents, and so they would get me like a video game, but my grandparents would get me the console. So they'd be like, oh, I don't know, I guess you just got a video game. I would be like, oh, okay, I'm a dumbass. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. I don't have a console, but I have a fucking video game. So I have Mario, but I don't know how to play it off. And I go to my grandparents, live right down the road, and then now I would get the console. Oh, my God, I got the game already.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. And that's
so neat.
Yeah, no, that shit always happens. So there was always like pairing of gifts with my grandparents, because of course my mom's like, he wants this, that's what he's gonna get. We're gonna go in half and half, whatever. And then we were at my grandparents once, and they had a 2-story house, and I used to think, if you have a 2-story house, you're fucking rolling. That is, you got stairs. I don't care if it's 3 stairs. You're a baller, right? But my grandparents, yeah, right. My grandparents had this 2-story house, and it had like I was little, so I thought there was 55 steps to go up to the, and they were carpeted steps, and I'm like, this is the best shit I've ever seen in my life. So me and my cousins always run up and down the stairs and fall down on our ass, go all the way down, blah blah blah. We're at Christmas there, and they get us. There's 4 boys that are but we're all about the same age, and so they get us all these little Ford replica like Bigfoot remote control cars, and we all have ours. And I have a cousin that is a dickhead. Let's just call him that. He's just a dickhead. And so if I had something, he always had to have something better, or if I had something, he wanted it, blah, blah, blah. Well, we got the same exact thing. So they were all in the kitchen, they were eating and stuff, and I was playing. We already opened up presents and stuff, and I was with my truck. Well, I went to the top of the stairs, and I was going to see how this bad boy rolled, right? So I got to the top, and I let it go. It's racing down the hallway, hits the stairs, boom, 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 boom. And then the bottom, and if you've ever had a remote control car, you know what I'm talking about. They take like 900 fucking D batteries, all right?
Yeah.
And so the bottom plate that screws in broke off once it hits the bottom. The batteries go everywhere, and as I look to the right, it's the living room, and those 3 other trucks are sitting there. So I fucking scramble together. I put all the batteries in it, and the plates broke, but I'm like, fuck it. So I put it on there, and I kind of like jimmy it to just sit there just like it was, and because it got to set low to the ground anyway. So I grabbed my cousin's that's a dickhead, and I'm like, that's mine now. So like I took it, and I was like, Mom, you mind if I go put this in the car? So I like went and put that bitch in the car, and he picked it up, and he's like, mine's broken. I'm like, I don't know how they got broke. And so I remember that, and I was like, that's what you get, dickhead. So but that was the shit, dude. Back in the day was people that had stairs. People that had stairs were the shit.
Yeah. So they never like found out about that?
No one ever found out. Yeah. I was the angel. I'm still the angel. Like My grandparents
now.
love me. I'm the best shit that ever happened in life. Like my cousin that's a dickhead, I'll say this, he's a drughead now. So they fucking hate his guts. So who gives a shit? So he's a druggie. But anyway, so
what? I'll ask a question. If it derails what we were doing, then just
please
go. You're speaking of how good you are as a. What's the worst thing you did?
We talked about this on a podcast.
No,
it's okay. And I'll revisit the story real quick. Basically, me and that shithead cousin that I was talking about, he was over at my house, and he had a shithead fucking idea, and we had shithead ideas. We walked up the road, and there was this house that, well, our houses were kind of separated between woods and stuff. We walked to this house, and this woman had this house for her grandkids, and it was a tree house, and it was decked out, like, windows, siding, fucking like best of the best, like a spiral staircase that went up it, door locked, all that stuff. It had insulation in it. That's how badass this thing was. It was insulated. Me and my cousin, being shitheads, go, we can't play on that bitch, so we're gonna fuck it up. So he grabs a rock, I grab a rock, we go 1, 2, 3. We throw the rocks, we break the windows out of it. They were like, fuck it, we want to get in this thing. So we bust in the door, we tear all the insulation out. Once we tear all the insulation out, we head back home, and we're itching because there's like fiberglass in it. It's like we're fucking itching. If you've ever been around insulation, it's like pink. And it makes you itch because we literally tear all the insulation out of the side of it, and just because it's still kind of in progress still. It doesn't have everything in it, like it's not fully furnished, but. Anyways, we do all that. We get home, we're itching like crazy, and my dad comes to us about 30 minutes later, and he goes, boys, come here. He goes, have you been up the street? And we're like, oh, no, not us. No, fuck that. No, hell no. And she's like, well, Miss blah, blah, blah said that her treehouse got busted into, and it looks like a shit. And then my cousin, being a shithead, of course, tells on us, and my dad lets us sit out there with being itched to death, and then he beats our ass because he believes in corporal punishment like a boss, and he beats our ass, and then he makes us sit out there and itch to death pretty much, and then we finally get showers after that, and I'm grounded forever. But that's a long story short. I told the long story in one of the other podcasts, but basically my cousin is a shithead, and I'm a shithead with him when I'm around him. But that's the worst thing I ever did, and I never did it because I'm afraid of my dad. He'd beat my ass. I literally, one time, my dad, I did something stupid, and he said, I could beat your ass, or you can sit in your room for 2 weeks after school and not go outside and play. And I was an outside kid. Like, I did crazy shit outside all the time, playing sports, whatever. I sit in my room for 2 weeks because I didn't want to get beat by my dad. So, what about you? Do you want?
Yeah, I guess I don't think I told this. I feel like I said this.
I get closer again. Get closer again.
Sorry. So I can't remember if I said this before on a podcast. I don't think I did, but So behind my house was like construction. So they were just like building stuff, whatever. And I don't know how old I was, maybe 11, something like 11 or so.
Yeah.
And they had like this was what time was it? It was like nighttime at this point. So, and I think it was the weekend. So those construction crews are not working at this point, but they leave like the backhoe and the equipment. And it was right around 4th of July, and we had all these fireworks and stuff. And this is one of the backhoes where like you can sit in the little compartment where like, the guy sits, little square or whatever, where you sit in it. And I'm a kid. I don't really do anything nasty. I was pretty straight laced. So we have firecrackers. We're throwing it at like the equipment, this and that. And we had these things called festival balls. So they're basically these big balls you put in a mortar, basically. The mortars that are about, the fat pipes that are about maybe like, I don't know, 1.5 feet tall or so. So it's almost like, I don't know, size of a, between a golf ball and a baseball, something like that, wrapped, and it has a long fuse. And you're supposed to put them in the mortar, like, the thing, so that it shoots and it has a direction, it goes up.
Right.
That's how, it's got like a long fuse. So I was like, oh, let me take one of those. And I went and I lit it and I put it in the cab, which is just like a little square box where the guy would sit. So this is nighttime, and it's like me and 3 of my, goofy and happy and stuff. Did it. I mean, we went running. We ran, and we saw it. Basically, it went off, and it just bounced inside. The cab has like 3 glass sides in the back, so you could see it, and we saw it just bouncing, bah, 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 just like ricocheting all inside the thing, and it's lighting up, and then it slowly, like, after all the flashing was done, there was a glow, and then the glow got brighter and brighter, and then it was a fire, and I'm like, and I was just like, I turned white, and we didn't know what to do. We went running. I can't remember if we set off the fire alarm because we were so scared. I think we might have. And we just went running and like hid in my friend's backyard, and we like watched like the fire engines come, and like the thing was ablaze, and it was ruined. A backhoe ruined. And that was like, I felt awful and terrible, and like, that is not what I meant to do. I just thought it would be funny to see the thing bounce around or whatever, in there. I had no idea it could start a fire that would just.
So what happened?
It was wrecked, and like, so like the whole like instrument panel was all melted and stuff, so it sat there, and I think basically probably, it's been so long, but I think basically what happened was probably a few days later after the weekend they probably towed it or something, and because it would, the whole control center of it was just melted basically.
So no one figured out it was you.
No.
So you're a felon.
A horrible
destruction of property, over $500 felony.
Yes, is that what that is? Oh my god.
Yeah. Sorry you had to do it like this. We got to take you in. We got to take him in. Felon, D1 the felon. That's what every time you come into my stream now, I'm going to call you the felon.
Horrible.
Oh my god. Well, they probably blamed it on like electrical fire. They probably got insurance. They probably got a brand new one, so it's okay.
I think they found the festival ball inside. they probably saw the remnants of the wrappers and stuff all in there.
Oh, well, here's your problem. You built this backhoe with a festival ball inside.
Yeah, right? What is this? This must have been under the instrument panel this whole time. This is faulty engine.
Morons.
Yeah.
D1 the felon, my man. D1 of Aqua. Is that Aqua vibe on purpose? The Aqua part is you needed water to put out that fire?
Sure.
How did you get your name, by the way?
That was my band, Aqua Vibe. So, long story short,
color blue.
That's true, but long story short, I'll make it real quick. The band was formed from all different people. It's two white guys, 2 black guys.
Wow,
Chinese guy. Yep, a Chinese guy, Dominican guy, and then
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there was, and then it was eventually a Japanese guy. So the point of it was to just try to kind of like do this, just cool thing where just everyone who's the different kind of gets together and we make music together, joins this bond and stuff. So that it's almost like if you look at the planet, the thing that connects all the continents, water, is like connecting agent.
Okay. I like
Pretty
it.
deep.
Aqua Vibe. Y'all were vibing, huh? Is that your word?
Yeah. That was
vibing.
And then
we're vibing, bro.
I've said this a bunch of times. People say, well, what's the D1 for? 2 guys in the band, including me, had the same first name, and our initial was D. And there's a 3rd guy in the band who would call us, be like, yo, D. And then 2 of us would always be like, oh, yeah, what? And he's like, no, not you, the other one. And so he started saying, all right, you know what? Here, you're D1 and you're D2.
And I'm D4, so.
There you go.
I was in
people
the
still
guys.
think I'm Deluxe 1.
I know. It's great. I love it when people say that. I'm like, yes, I will accept that. Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Anyways, that's perfect ending time right there. But D1, if you haven't checked out D1 at all, you're hiding under a rock or something. But I'm going to put all of his stuff in the links below. He does stream from time to time. If you haven't caught a stream of his, you definitely got to do it. I think he's the most talented person on Twitch. He needs to blow up, but he does it whether there's 2 people there or he does it whether there's 5,000 people there. It doesn't matter to D1. He's always entertaining. And if you catch a stream of his, there's one stream that he does that I really enjoy. It's when he just sits there and plays any song you want him to play. And if he can't figure it out, he'll try his hardest to. But I've tried to stump him with like black and yellow, and it's just crazy stuff. And he'll find it and he'll do it, and it's amazing. So if you ever get a chance to catch one of his streams, definitely do so. Go follow him on Twitter as well. He does have a Twitter, and he's not super active on it, but he does tweet out some very cool stuff. And as always, he's got great stories. But thank you, D1, for joining Shadow and I. And thank you, Shadow, for joining us once again on another CrewCast podcast. But we love you guys. Hope you guys have a good week. And we'll see you back here soon. I don't know when we'll do the next one, but we'll keep on trucking along. Remember, if you want to check out all the past podcasts, they're all on SoundCloud. The week before is always on SoundCloud, so this one will not be on SoundCloud until next week. So if you haven't checked that out, links are down below for that too. But again, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Yeet.